Welcome to TV Africa News. Hope you had a beautiful day. This is Africa Today. My name is Nahaba Kajura, but first are the headlines. All directives and lockdowns stand until the president makes his address. Northern Bypass will be finished by October 2021, according to UNRA. And enough sports today, Express FC land goalkeeper Mutakubwa as KCCA FC bolster engine with duo. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. Africa Today starts with one of our top stories. Prime Minister Robin Nabanjo has indicated that the president may address the country on Friday, but maintained that nothing on his directives like enforcing curfew and standard operating procedures change, even if he does not. We have more on this report.
They tested 639 and nobody was positive.
On March 21st, President Museveni declared a 42 days lockdown, citing an increase in the number of COVID-19 infections and deaths. The president froze public transport, limited private transport to authorized members, retained the bars under lock, banned concerts and limited social gatherings. However, the 42 days of the decree climax on Friday evening, making it an urgent need for the president to address before citizens release themselves from the lockdown. The presidential press secretary, Linda Nabusai, had initially communicated that the address would be on Saturday at 8 p.m., at least 2 days after the end of the lockdown. However, while speaking at a function yesterday, the Prime Minister said she's aware the president intends to make his address before lockdown ends.
Well, thank you so much, our reporter. Now, the National Roads Authority Executive Director, Allen Kajina, has reiterated that the Kampala Northern Bypass will be completed by October this year. Kajina confirmed this while inspecting the Northern Bypass yesterday. We have more on this report.
The National Roads Authority Executive Director, Allen Kajina, said that by October, UNRA should be finishing the entire project, which means that all these interchanges from Nalia to Busega will be open. Kajina also directed Motor Angel, the contractor, to repair the drainage channels and culverts which are piled with garbage and rubbish. She advised local leaders to impose fines on those who misuse the road and drainage systems. Kajina added that UNRA needs to do periodic maintenance where potholes and the drains have been filled with rubbish and blockade. The construction of the bypass has stalled for several years, having started at least a decade ago, and even surpassed its adjusted date of July 2017 and December 2019 respectively. The project aims to improve mobility in and around Kampala through a capacity increase of the Kampala Northern Bypass, relieving congestion on this vital northern corridor route, reducing travel time and vehicle operating costs, and improve road safety.
Well, thank you so much, our reporter. Now, this year's World Hepatitis Day came when the world is still grappling with the coronavirus pandemic. Now, experts are concerned that as the pandemic forces economies to contract and governments to make spending decisions based on stretched budgets, the target to eliminate hepatitis by 2030 could be missed. We have more on this report.
Hepatitis as a disease kills by causing the inflammation of the liver that causes a range of health problems, including liver cancer. There are 5 main strains of the hepatitis virus, A, B, C, D, and E, according to the World Health Organization. Together, hepatitis B and C are the most common cause of deaths, with 1.3 million lives lost each year. Amid the COVID-19 pandemic, viral hepatitis continues to claim thousands of lives every day. The World Health Organization says disruptions caused by COVID-19 could contribute around 5.3 million additional chronic hepatitis B infections among children born between 2020 and 2030, and 1 million additional HBV-related deaths among those children later on. Hence, the organization's strategy, which emphasizes eliminating mother-to-child transmission of hepatitis B in its campaign to end the disease. Almost 95% of cases which eventually grow into liver cancer are transmitted from mother to child. In Uganda, where the disease is endemic, the government has made testing for the disease free of charge. Vaccination against the disease has also been made free, although health workers' restrictions on movement caused by COVID-19 have hurt the success of the exercise.
Thank you so much, our reporter. Now let's go for a quick break. We shall come back with our international news. Welcome back from the break. You're still watching TV Africa, the right to know. Now, Tanzania's new president launched a coronavirus vaccination drive on Wednesday, and Tanzania is one of the last countries in the world to start inoculating its people, reversing the policies of its deeply COVID-septic-like leader, John Magufuli. Now, the East African nation had until recently been an outlier in the global fight to tackle the coronavirus, resisting measures such as wearing masks, curfews, and lockdowns. We have more on this report.
Former President John Magufuli was one of a handful of leaders who dismissed the gravity of the pandemic and shunned foreign-made vaccines in favor of the healing power of prayer. But since Magufuli's death in March, his successor, President Samia Suluhu Hassan, has been promoting measures to curb the spread of the virus in the country of 58 million people. The Max vaccine rollout started with Hassan, 61, getting her jab after a ceremony broadcast live on television in the financial capital Dar es Salaam. Tanzania will give priority to special groups of frontline workers, the elderly and those with underlying diseases. It received just over 1 million single-shot Johnson & Johnson vaccines from COVAX, the global initiative that seeks to provide equitable access to doses of lower-income countries. The government said that plans are also underway to procure doses from Pfizer, BioNTech, Modern and Chinese vaccine makers Sinovac and Sinopharm.
The moderate Islamic Ennahda Party, which was the strongest group in the coalition government, has labeled Sunday's power grab a coup d'etat, while the US, EU and other powers have also voiced strong concern. Ennahda on Tuesday challenged the president to call new legislative and presidential elections, warning against any delay that would be a pretext to maintain an autocratic regime. The president's actions, ostensibly to save Tunisia, followed a day of street protests against the government's poor handling of the COVID pandemic, which has claimed one of the world's highest official per capita death tolls in Tunisia. The president also said he would pick a new prime minister, lifted the parliamentary immunity of lawmakers, and warned armed opposition would be met with a rain of bullets. He later fired the defense and justice ministers.
Now, moving on, Algerians are waiting to receive free oxygen tanks offered by a private company in the northern city of Blinda amid the COVID-19 pandemic, as the country has been hit by rising cases and constrained by a pitchy inoculation rollout.
Algeria is seeking more oxygen for the COVID-19 sick amidst the shortage, as the Delta variant has caused 71% of total infections for July, according to the State Research Center Pasteur Institute. Civilians are also helping in the oxygen search as the number of infection increases. According to Farouk Talib, an ambulance driver, they are looking for oxygen tanks for people who are in difficulty and are distributing them for free. Rayad Akli, a lawyer and a hospital volunteer, added that as civilians and volunteers from El Afroun Hospital, they thank the company Technigas for staying with them all night until 6 in the morning, which saved them from a shortage. According to Africa Center for Disease Control, 29 countries are experiencing a more aggressive third wave than the previous second wave, and 2 countries, Algeria and Tunisia, are already seeing a fourth wave. Since the pandemic began early last year, the North African country has reported a total of 162,155 cases with 4,063 deaths.
Well, moving on, the Vice President of Equatorial Guinea, Obiang, was definitively found guilty on Wednesday of having fraudulently constituted a luxurious patrimony in a section of ill-gotten gains affair after the rejection of his appeal by the Court of Cassation. We have more on this report.
Obiang had been sentenced by the Paris Court of Appeal in February 2020 to 3 years in prison with a suspended sentence, 30 million euros in fines and the confiscation of all his assets, seized for laundering of misuse of social assets, embezzlement of public funds and breach of trust between 1997 and 2011. The United Kingdom has also imposed sanctions a few days ago against Theodorin Nguema Obiang, son of the country's veteran president, for allegedly siphoning state assets into his own bank accounts. The British government decided to freeze Obiang's assets and ban him entry to the United Kingdom. According to authorities, the president's son would have concluded corrupt contracting arrangements and solicited bribes to support his jet-setting lifestyle. They claim he has plugged $500 million on mansions around the world, luxury cars and a collection of Michael Jackson memorabilia, a $275,000 crystal-covered glove that the singer wore on his 1987-1989 Bad Tour.
Welcome back from the break. You're still watching TV Africa, the right to know. In a business news today, many stands are half empty in the district of Bab el Fella in Tunis, with Tunisians being more and more badly hit by an economic crisis, which is seemingly unending and fueling popular resentment against the political class.
Widespread concern in Tunisia and abroad has been voiced since the series of decisions by President Kais Saied to halt political life and most government action, with the sudden firing of the Prime Minister, the Defense and Justice Ministers, and the freezing of Parliament. The President's actions, ostensibly to save Tunisia, followed the Dove Street protest against government's poor handling of the COVID pandemic, which has claimed one of the world's highest official per capita death tolls in Tunisia. Tunisia, which ignited the Arab Spring in 2011 when protests led to the overthrow of its longtime autocratic leader, is often regarded as the only success story of those uprisings. But democracy didn't bring prosperity. Tunisia's economy was already flailing before the pandemic hit, with 18% unemployment and young people demanding jobs and an end to police brutality protested in large numbers earlier this year.
Away from business, in our health news today, until now, relatively spared by the coronavirus epidemic, Senegal is now facing an explosion of COVID-19 cases due to the spread of the Delta variant. In Dakar, the health system is under great pressure as hospital beds dedicated to COVID patients are full and health personnel are on the verge of breaking down. Let's have more.
The West African country has suffered a third wave of virus infections in recent weeks, with cases rising from a few dozen a day last month to about 1,700 in July. Health authorities have registered most of the new cases in Dakar, a city of over 3 million people. The National Director of Public Health Institutions, Osman Diallo, told journalists that the third wave had been more severe than the previous two. A surge in coronavirus cases is also causing delay in receiving COVID test results in the poor nation of 16 million people. Health Ministry spokesman Mamadou Ndiaye said that labs were overwhelmed because of high demand. There are fears that last week's Muslim festival of Eid al-Adha, which so many people travel to meet family, will increase the caseload. President Macky Sall has threatened to close borders and restrict internal travel should the health situation deteriorate.
Thank you so much, our reporter. Now, in our sports news today, Uganda Premier League defending champions Express FC have announced the signing of goalkeeper Joel Mutakubwa from relegated Chetume FC. Now, the 27-year-old Cranes goalkeeper penned a 2-year deal at Wankulukuku after running down his contract at Chetume FC.
The goalkeeper, who registered 10 clean sheets last season in the Uganda Premier League, is quoted to have said that the move to the defending champions is a step towards achieving dreams in football. The 27-year-old will now replace Matthias Mwanga, who was the #1 goalkeeper at Express but parted ways with the club, having guided them to a league title that had eluded them for 9 years. At Express, the shortstopper will reunite with tactician Wasobosa, having worked together at Toro United a few years ago. In the same vein, Express Football Club also unveiled Joseph Akandwanaho, 26, from Soltilo Bright Stars, as their second signing of the season. Lugogo-based KCCFC has unveiled Yasa Mugerwa and Emmanuel Waswa to bolster their midfield. On Wednesday, the 13 times champions unveiled Mugerwa, having been captured from Ethiopia's Sidama Coffee and penned a 2-year deal until July 2023. In the same vein, the Kasasro boys unveiled midfielder Emmanuel Waswa from rivals Sports Club Villa, who was signed on a 3-year deal to become their third signing of the season.
Thank you so much, our reporter. Now, before we end the bulletin, let's have a recap of our top stories. All directives and lockdown stand until the president makes his address. Northern Bypass will be finished by October 2021, according to UNRA. And in our sports today, Express FC land goalkeeper Mutakubwa as KCCA FC bolster engine with duo. Now we've come to the end of our bulletin. Thank you so much for joining us. From where we started from, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We shall keep updating you. It is TV Africa, the right to know.
This is Africa, and that was the news.